Alright, so back in this thing, daytime video. This was going to be a day off from my normal job, my Monday through normally Saturday job, but today I'm going to work at my Sunday job, which is working with dogs. And since I going there today, I happened to see a post on Instagram. It's this account that this person has, and all they do is post video or just posts in general about how dangerous pit bulls and bully breeds are in general. That's all she does, or he, whoever it is. I assume it's a woman. on how they're dangerous and that the breed should be banned, and that is the inherent nature of a bully breed is violence, that it's bred into them. This is what she's saying, or he. Again, I don't know. But I don't necessarily believe that, because I've seen, to me it's a blanket statement fallacy to say all bully breeds are inherently dangerous and bred for violence. That violence is genetically in the animal. And I don't believe that to be the case. I'm a nature... What is it? It's nature versus nurture. And I believe when it comes to behaviors, it's nurture over nature. I don't think any animal is just naturally violent. And to say pit bulls are, that's a fallacy. It's a blanket statement fallacy, or a hasty generalization, however you want to term it. But it's taking the exceptions and making it the rule. So I was going to get into a back and forth because I love the troll in the comments, and especially when it comes to this topic. I work with dogs, and there's plenty of pit bulls that come to or bully breeds that come to the daycare that I'm at. And the daycare I'm at, we have packs of dogs. It's not just single, it's not just isolated dogs that are there. We have them in a pack. And they have playtime out in the yard, and they socialize together, and there's all kinds of different breeds together. And if what this account says is true, then every single one of those dogs is violent when it comes to the bully breeds. And I think that's the most ignorant thing you can do. Because then my question was going to be to this person, okay, if you're saying that for dogs, does that apply to humans as well? Are there specific breeds or races of humans that are predisposed to certain behaviors solely based on their genetics? Is behavior inherent in genetics? Becomes the question. And this is where I go, it's nurture, it's a learned behavior. Either they were taught to be violent, or through complete lack of training when it comes to dogs. Through a complete lack of behavioral training, they have just been allowed to express violent behavior, which has not been properly corrected. And I'm trained to a certain degree in canine behavior, so I can address this. And from what I've experienced, there are no breeds of dog that are inherently violent. And when I've trained people about dogs, what I've come to learn, and the saying that I always go with, is it's not... Dogs are a reflection of who they've been with and what they've been allowed to do without correction. And without proper socialization, any dog can become violent. Any dog can develop the propensity to bite. If they haven't been socialized in terms of other dogs, if they haven't been socialized in terms of human interaction. And And this is where the conversation diverges. There are those that believe that those dogs are just violent dogs, and that every pit bull or bully breed is dangerous and violent, and they should be outlawed. People want to outlaw that dog, and I believe that's crazy. You're blaming the dog for the human's lack of attention when it comes to whoever owns the dog. So instead of commenting in the comments section, which I normally do, I thought I'd just make a video of it. This gets my energy out better in a more healthy way anyways. Since I figure I'm going to work with the dogs right now for a little short shift, I thought I'd talk about that. You know, what is it? Is it nurture or is it nature? And let's go with this person's angle. Let's explore that. If let's say it is nature. Let's say it is in the nature of a bully breed to just be violent. Then the question becomes, well, then why aren't all of them violent? Because not all of them are. What would that person say? Oh, well, they just weren't in a situation where that violence would come out. Well, then that goes for any dog. You know? And then the question becomes, okay, so let's put dogs aside. Does that apply to all animals? Does that apply to humans? Are there breeds or races of humans that are inherently a certain way when it comes to certain behaviors? And if someone would say yes, well, then how come some of them are not? See, I've never been the type of person that takes the exceptions and makes it a rule. Ever since I learned what fallacies are and what a hasty generalization and what a blanket statement is, I mean, it just makes sense. How can you take the and this is the thing too, when it comes to the exceptions, like let's go back to dogs, when it comes to the bully breeds that have bitten and mauled people, and this account is terrible. It shows all these images of children that have been bitten, like their faces are all deformed. It's the worst behavior that stands out the most, and that's what this account is doing. It's taking the worst attributes and situations that have ever happened, and they're trying to make it the norm. Imagine doing that for human behavior. I mean, they're trying to do that now. If to be honest, they're trying to do that now in news and in current events in the world when it comes to the world of those who follow Islam. They want to make it seem that religion is nothing but what the extreme version of it is. That's dangerous. This is a dangerous road. Because where does that lead? Right? And there's extremes in everything. Right? Christianity, there's the speaking in tongues type churches where in the laying of hands and you see the people fainting, and that's the extreme of Christianity if you think about it. None of the churches I ever went to ever had that kind of stuff. I wasn't brought up in that kind of Christian belief system. Just didn't. Speaking of tongues and the laying of hands just wasn't a thing, right? In all categories of human behavior, there are extremes. And that's what catches your eye, is the extreme. So that's why it's so easy to push it out there into the mainstream narrative and try and make people think that that's what all of them are. And that's what this account's doing with dogs and with bully breeds specifically. And I think that's a terrible thing to do. Because again, I'm pretty sure when I get to work right now, there's going to be a couple of those bully breeds there. And I've never had one issue with them. You know why? Because their owners brought those dogs up right. Just like if you don't bring your kids up right, they're going to be out in the street causing problems. And then depending on what race you are, people are going to be able to point at them and go, see, look, that's how they all are. It's the same thing. The same exact thing. Just because you didn't take responsibility to properly train your children, they are going to go out and put themselves in a situation where an ignorant person can look at them and make a blanket statement fallacy. Like, see, that's how all of that race is, or that's how all of that religion is. And that's how stereotypes are born. So that's what I saw right now. And I think making this video is a lot better than making a snarky comment in the comment section, which I normally do. I love to be a troll. But I think this gets the energy out a little better for me, at least personally. And I'm not going to change that person's mind. They'll just come back with all kinds of, like, a whole dissertation of why it is the way that it is. And they already believe what they believe. And some people are past conversion when it comes to how they think. And that's fine, because those are the people that need to be out there, so the rest of us can point at them and say, look, don't be like them. There needs to be bad examples in the world. I'm not a big believer in like we have to stop all the bad or the evil or whatever. You can't stop it. It has to be there. If anything, you're going to push it underground. And that's when it becomes dangerous. Everybody wants to be around me today on the road. I am staying in the slow lane. But yeah. So whatever you can do to avoid making a blanket statement, if you ever find yourself saying certain things about whole groups, try to curb that. And try to make it more about the specific case that you're addressing and not the whole group in general. Hence, hasty generalization. It's a logical fallacy. All dogs can bite. All humans have the propensity or the ability to act a certain way if they were brought up in certain ways. I think when it comes to the dogs, I think I saw the phrase "wrong end of the leash." You're blaming the wrong end of the leash, and I think that's something Cesar Millan said. Right? You're blaming the dog at the end of the leash for a behavior that the owner was responsible for taking care of. Wow, this guy's going really slow. I'm on the freeway in the slow lane, and I'm not even doing 50 miles an hour right now. But this guy's like in a work truck, and that's where he's supposed to be. So you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to stay right here. I normally don't like filming during the day. I was telling my girlfriend this. Normally I like the shroud of darkness for my videos. But the film's better during the day. I'm gonna have to get over right now. This lane is ending. What is it saying? But I digress. I don't know what today is or why, but everybody's got their special sports car out today. I've seen a bunch of Paganis. I've seen a bunch of really nice Porsches. Everybody's got their special car out. Probably because it's a special day for somebody. I'm not too sure what today is or why. All I know is pit bulls are good dogs. All bully breeds are good dogs. And to think otherwise is just ignorant. I think it'll always be nurture over nature. I think taking the exceptions and making it the rule is just as dangerous as taking how would I say that? There's an opposite to that. the opposite of that be? Making the exception the rule is just like, the opposite would be taking the rule and making an exception. I'm trying to think of a scenario where that plays out. Not too sure, but that's an interesting idea. All I know is it's best to stay away from fallacies. The whole list of them. Anybody listening to this, look up logical fallacies and make sure that these things don't play into how you approach the world. Because they're all rooted in ignorance. Perfect example, blanket statement, fallacy, or hasty generalization. That's how people, I think the term is other. How you other a whole group of people is by taking your experience with a select few and just saying or believing that all of them are that way. You have to take everybody on a case-by-case basis. Let them show you who they are. And if they happen to fall into a group into a stereotype or a dynamic you've seen before, all right, well, that's just another one of those, but that's not all of them. So yeah, on my way to my dog job. Let's see what kind of friends show up today. And this is an odd kind of shift. I'm only doing like 5 hours, or just under 6, whatever, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. I'm doing 5 hours today. So I don't know where I'll fit in. I don't know if I'm going to be in the yard or doing a lot of cleaning, laundry. There's always that to do. Normally a little classical going on in the background, but I can't hear it right now. Today too. Could I talk about? I don't know. I like that wrong end of the leash phrase though. I thought that was perfect. I just found out about that today. You're blaming the wrong end of the leash. That applies to kids. If you think about it, you should blame the parents. I hear the people, well, the kids can hang out with the wrong crowd and that's where they can pick up bad behaviors. Yeah, but the parents are supposed to be knowing who their kids are hanging out with. Nobody wants to be responsible for giving guidance. And they want to blame everybody else. That's another thing I've said about dogs. They're mirrors. That's the imagery I like to throw out there. They're mirrors. They're going to show you They're a reflection of who they've been around and what they've been allowed to do. Almost there. But yeah, I think it's a terrible thing for people to have these accounts that come down on certain dog breeds. And pit bulls only get a bad rap only because they can cause so much damage. They're strong dogs. Small breed dogs are a vast majority of dog bites. They just don't cause that much damage. So you can't portray it as being as dangerous. But they could bite a child in the face just as easy. And I'm sure it happens. But this terrible account is about nothing but bully breeds. And I believe there's even places that have outlawed that breed, that you can't even have one. I have to look that up, but I'm almost 100% positive that there are certain areas in the United States, I think, that have banned that breed. And that's a genocide of sorts. If you think about it. I mean, people who think that way, like this one account, they had it their way, that whole breed would be destroyed. And there wouldn't be such a thing as a bully breed. I mean, going by their logic, because it's just a naturally violent dog. That's terrible. Imagine how they think about other races, right? If you're gonna go with the as above, so below philosophy, how they think about dogs is how they think about humans also. And they'll probably deny it, but it's true deep down inside. If that's how you think, that's how you think. Now, someone might ask, is that a blanket statement fallacy to say that? Well, it might be. But prove me wrong. My position's stronger. All right, man, it's so much different coming out this way during the day because I work in the morning out here. And I never see this in the daylight like this. At least coming this way. Pretty wild. Let's air it out a little bit. I kept the windows up so the audio came out a little bit clear. But it got a bit warm in here. But anyways, yeah, that's where I stand when it comes to that topic as I wait for one of my final turns to get to work. I don't know, take it for what you will, but that's where I stand. I think nurture. I don't think any behavior is nature, is natural or genetically inherent. That just doesn't make any sense to me. Because that means no matter what, it'll always, that behavior will always manifest, and that's not the case. It doesn't work for people, it doesn't work for dogs, it doesn't work for any animal. Well, maybe not. I can't say it doesn't work for any animal. Maybe I can't say that. Maybe that's a blanket statement fallacy. But at least for dogs. Dogs and humans, I'll leave it at that. I think all behavior is learned. And especially if it's reinforced and not corrected, that's the behavior that they have now. And if that was the case too, then that means behavioral rehabilitation would be an impossibility. That you couldn't take an aggressive dog and train that behavior out of it. Which is not the case. That's been proven time and time again, that you can take a dog with aggressive behavior and untrain that behavior. I think that speaks to the plasticity, neuroplasticity, I think is the term. The rewiring of the brain. By correcting and diminishing the bad behavior and nurturing and rewarding the good behavior. That works for humans and that works for dogs. Now, are there some cases where it can't be done? Yes, and again, those are the extremes. Those are the exceptions that do not make the rule. So there are some levels of generalization that you can make. But when you get to the extremes, it doesn't disprove what is commonly known. So I guess that's the fine line you have to walk when you talk about these topics. But there is a certain level where generalizing is perfectly fine. But when you get to the extremes, that's when it doesn't make the rule less. What would the word be? I'm going to head in today. I don't know what the word would be. I can't think right now. I gotta park. Parking next to Gabby. Alright, well, I'm at work. Enough of my rambling. And that was my video for the day. Just thought I'd talk about that since I'm coming to work with some doggies. Let's leave the windows down because it's too hot to have all this in here. Alright, let's get to work.